I'm all out of whiskey, cause I lost my Trubisky. I know Philly was right to believe it for so long. I'm all out of whiskey, cause I lost my Trubisky. It's not too late to say that the Bears still stink. Alright, Trubisky, you're all done. You're going up in flames. Oh, hello. How you doing? I'm just hanging out, chilling. But you know what? I'm glad you're here. So come on in, hang out. And today, I am going to show you how it won't be too hard for the Eagles to get to $30 million under the cap.
Still the cowboy, Mr. McLean. You Americans are all alike. But this time, John Wayne doesn't walk into the sunset with Grace Kelly. Scary Cooper, asshole.
Oh shit! Oh shit! That was crazy!
Happy trails, Hans.
Dallas still stinks. Yo, everybody doing? King Dingbat here. So, over the last few days, we've been dealing with this Carson Wentz thing, and do the players like him, or is there a fashion of players that don't want him there? Who are these unnamed sources? All that kind of stuff, Me personally, the more I've read into this and the more of what it sounds like, they specifically used words like selfish and things like that to basically talk about a guy who's just a leader, who wants to win, A-type personality, and that's what you want from your franchise quarterback. I have no problem with it. Players don't have to like him. I don't care. But you got to go out and play with him. You got to go out and play for him. And if you can't do that, then you got to go somewhere else. Okay, that's how I feel about it. Now, I've had a lot of questions, especially in my Sixers stream last night, about do I think that it was one of the receivers, specifically Alshon Jeffery, because he hasn't said anything. And his silence must mean guilt. It must mean guilty. So in today's society, if you're silent, you're automatically guilty. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. To be honest with you, I'm a conspiracy theorist. So I would say that there's more likely somebody who's speaking up for him out loud and talking the loudest. They're probably more likely than a guy being silent. A lot of guys are silent on stories they just think are crap or are not worth commenting on. And just because somebody's silent doesn't mean it was them. Now let's just say for argument's sake it was Alshon Jeffery. Let's say he's the one that had problems with Carson Wentz. Well, look, here's how I see it. Alshon's a big boy. Carson's a big boy. They can work out their problems. They're both rational, good guys. And whatever problems they have, it'll get worked out. Now, if it won't, let's say Alshon says, I can't play with this guy. I don't want to be here. I don't want to play for this guy. Fine. You don't want to deal with it. You don't want to make a mess. You don't want to work it out. I will get on the phone. I will call Pittsburgh up. And I will find a way to package Alshon or whatever I need and bring in Antonio Brown. Problem solved. My point being, that is not going to happen, by the way, because Alshon is a rational, good dude, and he will work it out. If it was him, which I don't even think it was. But the point is, this is Carson's team. And if people can't get behind that, then we don't need him to play for the Eagles. That's just my opinion. But Alshon's a good dude. I don't think this is a problem. I don't even think it was him. I think it was some other guys who obviously don't have a firm enough foot on this franchise that they can speak up, so they have to remain quiet. But I just had to address it because people asked me if I thought it was Alshon, and if it was, what it would mean. It would mean, the only thing it would mean is that they got to get together and work it out. That's it, and that's what they would do. No problem, nothing to worry about. Let's talk about something that I think matters right now, and that's the salary cap. We know the Eagles are over the cap pretty hard, okay? I think they're like $14.5 million over the cap. So that's a lot of money. And for this team to get better next year, to be able to go on another run, they're going to have to let some guys go that we're attached to, that have played with Philly for a long time, that have done great things for the Eagles. But it's going to have to happen. Now, what I did here was I picked out some of the guys I think won't be here next year. And I was able to basically get us to about $30 million in cap space, okay? Now, it's not easy letting guys that you really like go, but it's necessary for this team to be able to pay for draft picks, to be able to sign guys in free agency, to get better, to make another run. So the Eagles, they're about $14.5 million over the cap. I'll put the exact figure like right down here, but I think that's about 14.5 right now. So the first guy they got to cut. Now, when I did this, I'm not counting trades. I'm not counting if they renegotiate people's contracts and things like that. I'm not counting that. I'm just basically looking at if you cut this guy, if you cut this guy, if you cut this guy, okay? So the first guy is the obvious guy. It's Nick Foles. You have to get rid of Nick Foles. You have to get rid of that $20 million cap number, okay? So if the Eagles let him go, the Eagles would save $18,800,000, something like that, which would take the Eagles' cap number to about 4.3 million under the cap. Okay, it'll be right there. So that's the first thing. You're about 4.3 right now. The second guy you got to go is Jason Peters. You got to let Jason Peters go. Now, Peters would be an $8 million cap savings. So you get that, you save another $8 million, and now you're about $12.3 million under the cap. So all of a sudden, with two moves, you have about $12.3 million in cap space, okay? So that's good. We're getting somewhere, right? The next guy that you got to let go, Chris Long. Now, Chris Long, he's about $5.3 million under the cap. So that $5.3 million would take the Eagles to about $17.5 million under the cap. Now, Chris Long, I don't know what his dead money is, but all these guys that I'm going to say, the dead money total, which will be against the cap, is I think $5 or $6 million. It's not that much. But right now, after cutting Foles, cutting Jason Peters, cutting Chris Long, the Eagles would be at 17.3, 17.4. Exact number should be right there. But that's where they would be after getting rid of Chris Long. Now, the other guy that I think they'll let go is Wisniewski. I don't think they were happy with him anyways. He was benched for a long time, but he's $3 million under the cap, okay? So he's $3 million, and that takes us to about $20.6 million in cap space. We let Foles, Peters, Long, and Wisniewski go. $20.4 million right there. Okay, so now we are about 20.4 in cap space, and we need something else. So what do we do here? Now, this one may be a little controversial for some people, but the way I see it, is Nelson Aguilar worth $9 million? Is he worth $9 million? I think he had 64 catches. I like his athleticism. I like his speed. But he's $9 million cap hit, and he's zero dead money. Zero dead money. Okay, so if you cut Nelson Aguilar, that will take you to about $30 million in cap space. Foles, Peters, Wisniewski, Long, Aguilar. $30 million in cap space, okay? Now, that's just if you cut guys. Now, if you do that, and let's say you got rid of Aguilar, one of the things you may want to do is bring back Golden Tate to play in the slot. You bring back Golden Tate, you give him front money, he won't be that big of a cap hit this year, and you can make it work. I would definitely consider that. Now, what you lose with Aguilar, what that I like is the athleticism and the speed. I think this team needs more speed on offense, and you hate to let a guy like him go, so you're going to have to replace the speed. I think a speed wide receiver in the draft is an important thing, like a Deshaun Jackson type. Maybe you look at a guy like that anyways in free agency. Now you have at least $30 million. And if you need more, another guy you may consider cutting is Rodney McLeod. That would save you $5 million in cap space. Now, you may be saying, why would you cut Rodney McLeod? We don't need safety. I personally think Rasul Douglas can play safety. If you move him over to full-time safety, I believe Rasul Douglas is talented enough that he could become a Pro Bowl safety. So he's like $540,000. So if you need to save another $5 million, you could do it there. Now, I know the Aguilar thing is controversial probably, but $9 million, the guy had 64 catches. He had one good year, the year he went to Super Bowl. I just think that $9 million with zero dead money is too good to pass up. You can bring Tate in, sign him, like I said, upfront money, so his cap number's not that big the first year. Then you put him in the slot. We know Golden Tate could play the slot. And if you could get a speed receiver, Hollywood Brown, something like that, you can get a speed wide receiver on the outside to go alongside with Alshon. You're good. And then it's time to think about what you're going to do at running back. But that's how the Eagles easily could get to $35 million under the cap. What do you think? Who do you think the Eagles will let go this season? I would love to know it. With that said, take care. Talk to you later, and don't be a dingbat.